Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is an incredible honour and privilege to address the Assembly this evening to offer a budget and reply speech as Leader of the Opposition. I'm not your typical politician. I didn't go to ANU. I didn't spend my 20s as a political staffer working for a politician. And I haven't lived my life with my eye on the big political prize, so I actually never expected to be in this position, doing this today. I'm here for one simple reason. The streetlights where I lived weren't working. Nobody was bothering to fix them. My local members weren't working hard to make sure the lights were on in my streets. And I thought, you know what? I reckon I could have a crack at this job. So I joined the Liberal Party, and I thought I might be able to do things a little bit differently. As I say, I joined the Liberal Party, I got myself elected, and you know, those streetlights are still working. But as a member, I've come to see that it's not just my streetlights that aren't working. This government isn't working. It's not delivering for Canberrans, and it's not delivering for our communities. I believe we can do better, and that Canberrans deserve better. Just like I got myself elected to the Assembly to get the lights fixed, I plan on getting the Liberals elected to government so we can get Canberra fixed. And tonight, I will offer you my vision of how we do that. But before we talk about where we need to go, it's important to know where we've come from and how we ended up here. The policies and vision Labor has today, they didn't spring from a vacuum. They were a response to the challenges we faced when Andrew Barr became Treasurer and then Chief Minister. Many of us have forgotten how the years after the global financial crisis were years of stagnation. They were years of slow economic and wage growth after many years of sustained robust growth. After 5 years of this, the community was frustrated and hungry for something better. And at that time, Andrew Barr seemed to have the answers. He told us that he had an agenda for growth, to get us back on track, an agenda based on tax reform, economic diversification and infrastructure investment. And I'll admit, there was boldness and ambition when he talked about it. But 12 years into this agenda, we should ask ourselves if the Barr agenda has delivered for the community or just for Labor. The delivery of this agenda has been underwhelming at best. Labor's plans for economic diversification were never underpinned by a solid plan. Today, its strategy is defined by vague, undeliverable promises about giving back time. That is why they have failed to achieve their goals and why the private sector is a smaller part of the ACT economy than ever before. The exodus of small businesses from Canberra means the public sector will soon account for 60% of the local economy, leaving us more dependent than ever on Commonwealth spending. Labor's plans for infrastructure investment remain more of a fantasy than a reality, with light rail years behind schedule and other promises more likely to inspire derision than awe. And as shown by the business cases that I've forced the government to release, it is clear that these projects never have and never could stack up. Rather than driving economic and productivity growth, they're taking us backwards. And Labor's plans for tax reform have had to be abandoned because of the fiscal pressures born of years of reckless spending. This agenda only delivered the most mild tax relief. And even that was offset by the scale of tax hikes with higher rates, fees, charges, and the proliferation of new levies, all of which undermine Labor's goals of improving efficiency and equity. The delivery of Labor's agenda was underwhelming, and so were the economic results. We were promised faster economic and wage growth, but have performed no better than other jurisdictions where governments had no ambitious big spending reform agenda. Labor has spent more and more to deliver less and less. The very antithesis of productivity growth it claimed to be pursuing. The ACT is now worse off than if we never had Labor's reform agenda. And that's all before we consider the consequences for our local community. The inability to control spending means taxes are higher than they need to be, and that government debt continues to surge despite those high taxes. The size of the debt means interest payments will consume $1 in every 4 that you pay in local taxes next year.
Shame.
It is a shame. This means there isn't enough money to properly fund our schools, hospitals and police. The inability to deliver transport infrastructure means congestion is worse than it has ever been. The burden of local taxes and regulations imposed by Labor means it's increasingly difficult to start and grow a business, meaning empty shop fronts, deserted local shopping districts. And the unaffordability of housing means young people and private sector workers are increasingly leaving Canberra, which means it is more difficult and more expensive to find retail workers, hospitality staff and local tradies for home maintenance. We have become a city where many in our community feel permanently stressed that they cannot have a comfortable standard of living unless they're a public service executive. So more and more local families are making the decision to leave, either just across the border, Queanbeyan, Googong, Bungendore, Braidwood, and even further to Sydney, Perth, Brisbane. We can't let Canberra be a town where you have to be an executive just to get by or own a home.
Yeah.
These are consequences of Andrew Barr's reform agenda. That agenda might have been justified given the challenges we faced in 2012 if Labor was up to the challenge of delivery. But it was an irresponsible agenda to maintain once COVID hit and we had the inflationary pressures and the spiralling cost of government debt of the last few years. And it is an agenda that fails to recognise, let alone address, the challenges that our community faces today. Labor has failed to deliver and it has failed to adapt. Worse than that, Mr Speaker, they have no ability to adapt. There is no Labor leader in waiting, someone in tune with the needs and challenges faced by the community, someone who can provide that large vision and agenda for change. We know there must be ministers vying behind the scenes to be the next Chief Minister. But when was the last time you heard anyone in Labor offer their big vision for Canberra? When was the last time you saw them offer passion for this city and for the work that they do? When have you seen them even admit to the challenges that the Territory and our local community are facing? A vision for a city of 500,000 people is not something that you can conjure up on the walk from party room to the press gallery. It's something you have to think about and refine for years. Something you have to test with a variety of local people until you're sure you're doing the things that matter, the things that will make the biggest difference for local people and local communities.
Yeah.
None of those opposite have a vision for the future and none of them have the ability to deliver something different or something better, which means under Labor, we are on track for 3 more years of the same, 3 more years of waste, 3 more years of taxes, 3 more years of neglect, 3 more years of incompetence and 3 more years of spin.
Shame.
3 more years where the needs of the community are ignored, if they are even recognised. It is a grim picture. And you can see that in the budget that's been handed down this week. It's a budget that didn't just fail to deal with the challenges facing Canberra today. It actually made people's cost of living struggles so much worse.
Shame.
It failed to deal with the long-term challenges of our city, the structural deficit, the rapidly growing debt burden, the superannuation liability and the ageing population. And it failed to offer us a vision for a future, a vision of how things could be different or how they could be better. Which means this budget and the government has failed on all counts. Canberrans deserve better.
Yeah.
My job as opposition leader is to deliver a Canberra which starts with a clear vision. a vision for where we want to go and what we want to achieve. That vision is a product of many, many conversations with Canberrans, both over the course of my life here in the ACT and in the last 8 months of my listening tour. A part of that tour, as part of it, I've spoken to hundreds of local people, including visits to Barton, Belconnen, Corwell, Casey, Charnwood, Chisholm, Civic, Crace, Everett, Farrer, Fraser, Florey, Garran, Gold Creek, Griffith, Gungahlin, Hall, Holder, Hughes, Kaleen, Kippax, Lanyon, Lynham, Marnica, Mawson, Nichols, Ngunnawal, Palmerston, Parkes, Rivette, Tharwa, Tuggeranong, Watangra, Weston and more. And at those events, I heard about the things that people love about Canberra, the things that worry and frustrate them, and the things that they hope for. I heard their raw thoughts on the Liberal Party and their hunger for an effective opposition and a genuine alternative government. I understand the challenges and opportunities of Canberra more deeply now than I ever did before. I saw that most Canberrans, believe it or not, they're not ideologues or political tragics. They aren't looking for radical, transformational change. For most people, a better Canberra means a more affordable city, where public services are accessible and reliable. It's a Canberra where safe streets, clean parks, good schools and fast help when it's needed. This is not just their vision, it's mine too. It's what I wanted before I got into politics when I was a single mum, raising 2 kids in Ngunnawal, and it's what I've been working towards since I was first elected. And you know, it's not an impossible dream. It's a vision we can realise if we choose to make different choices. Labor has an agenda for Canberra, one of grand plans and city-shaping projects, and we see the results of that agenda all around us, particularly in this week's budget. But we can make different choices. We can have different priorities, and we can deliver different results for the community. My plan is to focus on 3 things that will make the biggest difference for local people and local families. First, we need to focus on making housing affordable and accessible. I hear about housing more than any other issue. Young people are losing hope that they will ever own a home. Families can't afford homes that are right for their needs. Parents are worried their children are going to have to move out of the territory and they won't get to spend quality time with their grandchildren. And many are worried they are one rent hike away from homelessness. Choices that need to be changed. Every year I have been here, I have heard Labor promise change on housing, but I've never seen them deliver. Shame. Second, we need to focus on reducing the cost of living. Anyone who spends time in Canberra, different parts of Canberra, will have seen the number of vacant graffitied shop fronts. From Civic to the town centres to our local shops, it's a clear sign that businesses do struggle in Canberra. This is not a new story. The private sector has been shrinking in Canberra for 3 decades, and it is only getting worse as Labor add to the burden of regulation and taxation on businesses and scare off investors. Now, I don't expect anyone to shed tears for the private sector, but the decline in business investment and competition means less choice and higher prices for family. Higher prices when you go to the supermarket, higher prices when you go out for a coffee, a haircut, a medical appointment, new shoes for the kids. This is also a result of choices Labor has made, choices that need to be changed. And third, we must focus on improving the quality of public services and making sure Canberrans are getting value for the money from their tax dollars. This is not about cutting jobs or cutting spending. It's about delivering better outcomes for Canberrans. Every one of us in this place knows that our frontline workers, our teachers, the doctors, nurses, AMBOs, bus drivers and police officers, so many others, are all doing their best. They are great people caught up in a bad system. Systems where frontline staff are stripped of the ability to make decisions, where their input isn't sought or valued by ministers and executives, and where they are left feeling disrespected and unvalued. The number one message I heard from public service workers, particularly those at the front line of service delivery, is about bad culture and poor morale. We can't fix these systems or improve outcomes until people who make up those systems feel respected, empowered and valued. Those unhealthy cultures and workplaces are also the choices Labor has made, choices that need to be changed. Whether it is about making housing affordable, reducing the cost of living or delivering better public services, we do have our work cut out for us. There are no silver bullets to fix these problems and they can't be solved overnight. But our team is developing reforms that will put us on a pathway to delivering our vision for a better Canberra. Over the next 3 years, we will progressively release components of this agenda so that Canberrans can see more than just aspirations and election commitments, but a true foundation for government and a foundation for change. It is easy to promise change, but it's harder to show that you're able to deliver it. I accept there is an obligation on me and on our local Liberal team to prove that we are up to the job of making change and can be trusted to see it through. Trust is everything in politics, and I admit we have work to do. I don't intend to shy away from that work. I intend to make it the focus of everything I do as opposition leader and, if given the opportunity, Chief Minister. So, here is my plan. The 3 things that I will do to rebuild trust with the community and earn their consent to form government. The first step is to genuinely listen to the community and respond to their concerns and their priorities. In my first speech as opposition leader in October last year, I committed to travelling around the ACT and to listen to as many Canberrans as I could, and that's exactly what I did, because I want the community to guide us, to be a genuine partner in our work here. Our whole team is listening to the community and letting them shape the work that we have prioritised this term. Whether it's local issues like phone towers and dog parks, policy issues like coercive control or stamp duty clawbacks, or matters of principle like integrity and transparency, we are listening and acting on the community's concerns. The second step is to be honest and upfront with the community. We will articulate our vision and our reform plans so Canberrans can have a clear understanding of the changes that we are working towards, how we will deliver them, and why they matter. That work begins with this speech, but it will continue for months and years ahead as we flesh out our vision for Canberra into a reform agenda that will provide meaningful change for every Canberran and every local family. And the third step is delivery. The community expects us to do more than just listen and make plans for the next 3 years. They want us to do the work of achieving real outcomes and to show what we're capable of. And I'm proud to say that our team is already delivering. This term, we have forced Labor to commit to criminalising coercive control, even though they voted against it last year. We have forced Labor to backflip on the Lanyon Dog Park. We have forced Labor to wind back their illegitimate policy on retrospectively denying stamp duty exemptions. We have forced Labor to accept the Fix My Street app is defective and have an inquiry to drive improvements, just as we have already done with My Way Plus. We have forced Labor to agree to and fund an inquiry into lobbying by the Integrity Commissioner. We have forced Labor to commission an independent inquiry to help thousands of Canberrans stuck waiting for necessary and long overdue surgeries. And we have forced transparency on Labor time and time again with a series of Assembly orders that have led to the publication of hundreds of previously secret documents that Labor actively withheld from the community. We have done this by staying focused on the issues that matter most to Canberrans and by working with the Assembly to build consensus and to ensure outcomes. The Canberra Liberals are already delivering outcomes that are improving lives of Canberrans, even from opposition. In the last 8 months, We have delivered more for the community than we have in any term since we're in government. There is a huge amount still to be done, and a huge amount we can only do from government, but we're making a start. We're doing what we can with what we have where we are, and that's our plan. We will listen to the community, be honest about our plans and deliver on those plans. This will be my approach in opposition, and it will be my approach in government. It is how we will rebuild trust with the community so we can serve them this term and into the future. As members may be aware, I recently became a grandmother. Now I find myself thinking more about the future, not just about my future or the future of my kids, but my grandkids and what Canberra will look like for them. What are the challenges they're going to face? And what can I do today to help ensure that they're ready to face those challenges? I worry that we're so caught up with issues and challenges of the moment that we're failing to think about those long-term challenges. And I worry that we're not doing enough to ensure that Canberrans are ready to face them. As a territory, we cannot go on like this. We must change. All those years ago, when Andrew Barr took office, the community was frustrated. The government was not responding to the challenges of our community, and they were hungry for change. Once again, the community is frustrated. The government is not responding to the challenges our community is facing, and they are hungry for change. While the opportunity for that change, the next ACT election, is still more than 3 years away, we must use every minute we can between now and then to build the plans and policies for that future. We have no time to waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castley. Thank you. Thank you in the gallery. Thank you.